Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Weaverdice Vegas. This episode begins what I think is going to be a mini arc of a few episodes, and we really had a lot of fun with this one. If you tweet about Weaverdice Vegas with hashtag We've Got Dice, no punctuation, we'll work your name or Twitter handle into the show. Let's go see how the gang are getting along. Last time on Weaverdice Vegas.
Behold, the Weeper! Only 128 characters, but the interface is very intuitive.
There ain't no sense in both of us getting knocked off.
If that ever happens again, Rusty, you know I'm there for you, buddy. The dealer puts down a ace.
Hit me.
10.
Wait.
Sorry.
Wait.
If brains were leather, that boy wouldn't have enough to saddle a June bug.
He's just, you get a little slow.
I am familiar with slow.
I'm Fixer. I put things back the way they were. Their brains are like Swiss cheese. What you're seeing is a scene from the night of your trigger event. Somebody is holding the bottles of vodka that you and your friends later drank out of. It's Jonathan.
There's a fire up there. Quick, get down.
Now would be a really good time to use your fucking superpower, buddy. Oh, fuck, I forgot my dude.
So your mission to investigate the loose cannon's headquarters was last night, and right now it's about 10 a.m. of the following day, and we join Chad first. Chad, last night you had another one of those really vivid dreams. This time you were exploring a cave with your brother, and your brother is a fearless and bold kid, a natural leader, but you can't help but feel like you're the responsible one as he ventures deeper and deeper into the cave. And it grows darker and darker, and suddenly you're afraid. But before you can open your mouth to express your fear, you feel his hand grasp yours reassuringly, and you meet his eyes in the darkness, and then you feel brave again, and then you wake up.
Well, that's just unsettling in a deeply metaphorical way.
Yeah, I wonder what that means.
Jeez.
So Chad, you had $4,200 at the start of last episode.
Yeah.
You spent $3,500 on equipment, and then you lost $500 in a game of pool.
Yeah.
I don't know what you were thinking there.
Yes.
So you're down to $200, and the gang doesn't exactly pay daily, so you don't have any income. And you don't really have time right now to work on gear anyway, but if you're thinking about money, you essentially have two choices. You can ask Snake Eyes for an advance or some kind of in-kind payment, since you've seen that the gang supports at least one other tinker, or you can call your dad. So what are you thinking you're gonna do with your time right now?
I think I'm gonna just pass on both those options. $200. I can stretch that.
Yeah,
ramen
fine.
Noodles.
Yeah. So you don't want to get into debt with the mob, is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Good life rule.
All right. In that case, I mean, there's not much time has passed, so we're gonna move on to Rusty. And Rusty, you are you're hanging out.
Before we discuss what I'm doing, can I get an update? I was just listening to the last episode, and I remember that Paragon left our bar kind of like confused and walking across the street. And can I just get an update on whether there was anything in the news about another bar being trashed on that day, just for my amusement?
Yeah. There was as you're playing pool on the TV behind you, the same TV that you saw the other news broadcast on. You hear an announcement. Surprising news today. Local hero Paragon made a fool of himself by entering the Dixie rattlesnake and and standing confusedly for several minutes, forcing patrons to become worried and call the authorities. We don't know what's going on with this hero, and he's been in the tabloids for the last news cycle. Back to you, Samantha.
I chuckle. A lot of memories on that television. A lot of memories.
Billy's over in the corner just like dabbing the shit out of everything.
But I think Billy is in the room actually. And Rusty, you're playing pool with Skip. Are you playing pool with Billy too, or is Billy just kind of doing his own thing?
Sure.
Nah.
Okay, never mind.
Nah.
Is Billy hanging out nearby? I mean, is he part of this conversation that's about to be happening?
Yes.
Okay.
He's nearby.
Okay.
Billy doesn't like pool. Billy lost a pool. He's done with it.
Yeah, that's understandable. So Skip though he's playing pool. He's not really focused on the game though. He seems really preoccupied. Maybe even enough that you would notice Billy. But he's not a man to speak about his feelings. So he just kind of continues to play, looking very, very distracted.
Okay, I line up my shot. Don't make eye contact or anything because that would make everyone uncomfortable to have eye contact during a conversation. So I say, what's on your mind, Skip?
Well, Rusty, I reckon I need some advice. Snake Eyes told me, and he glances at Billy as if he's not sure if he's supposed to share this, but he just kind of plunges ahead. Well, he offered me powers, told me it was my decision, but if I said yes, I could drink something and walk away a parahuman. I gotta admit, Rusty, in this line of work, it's hard to say no. You're more on the inner circle than me, that's for sure. How does this work?
Well, Skip, I ain't too sure myself. I know a pit boss on occasion would offer powers to people, and he'd take them aside, and they'd disappear for a few days, and, well, sometimes they came back, and the rest of the times, no one ever saw them again.
You're saying sometimes they just didn't come back at all?
Well, the way I figure it, Skip, it's a rather risky operation. But, you thinking of going through with it?
I don't know. What do you think, Rusty? A man tussling with capes? It's a goddamn miracle I survived this long. And there have been close calls, I don't have to tell you that. I'd be dead 10 times over without parahuman help. I feel like this way I can start pulling my weight in this outfit. Maybe make a name for myself, make some real money maybe.
Well, you know how it is. Powers ain't the be-all, end-all of getting things done. If you smell what I'm stepping in. And they aren't without their downsides.
You don't like your powers much, do you, Rusty?
Well, no, I don't. And you know all about why that is. We've all got skeletons in our closet, or in my case, a storage container buried in the backyard.
Well, that was an accident, Rusty. It wouldn't happen again. You can control it now. You should use your powers more. You'd be amazing.
Well, no, Skip, I can't control it. Not really. And there's another thing. Something that I ain't never mentioned before, because frankly, I don't like to acknowledge it's there. But it is, and you should know about it. And, well, Billy, you should know about it too.
What?
There's a dark presence that comes with having powers. It's in your head, in my head anyway, telling me things I ought to do, and most of those things probably aren't too good. I know Pit Boss has talked to me about it before too, but it's been there ever since I triggered, and the more time passes, the more I use my power, the louder it gets. And to be honest, sometimes I think maybe I don't know what's wrong from right anymore.
Man, that's just your con science talking to you.
Well, maybe the more devilish half of the con science, Billy. But I suppose the psychological sciences aren't really my area of expertise.
So I think actually at this point, Metric arrives, having received a summons.
All right, what I miss? What I miss, guys? What's going on?
I bet this nerd knows all about con sciences.
What's a con science?
It's the thing in your head that tells you right from wrong.
Jesus. Just what's going on, Rusty? What's up? How's life? You look kind of somber.
Oh, we're just shooting the shit as it is.
All right. Anybody got a PBR for me? I look around.
Who's fucking drinking?
Metric, do you like having powers?
That's a loaded question, ain't it? Well,
Seems like it should be kind of obvious, but I'm getting the sense it's not.
I think powers are double-edged in most ways. Kind of started all of the worst parts of my life if you kind of go back and think about it.
So at this point, Skip looks like extremely bothered and conflicted, even more so than when he was just looking distracted before.
Let me make this easy on you, buddy. Powers are awesome.
Not the best endorsement. Well, look here, Skip. In the end, I'm okay with whatever it is you decide to do, so long as you know what you're getting yourself into. Personally, I like you as you are. Not having powers as a crutch is what makes you stronger.
Wait, are we? Someone's offering powers to Skip? That's a thing that can happen?
Well, I'm as far as I understand it, yes, it is, Metric.
Isn't that kind of a really big deal?
Well, I guess
Metric?
I never really thought twice about it.
Metric, you really need to catch up in the conversation. So slow.
Skip shrugs and he's like, "How's that any weirder than all the shit you guys are doing and all day long?"
Well, it fundamentally changes the equilibrium of everything. If someone just has powers that they can hand out willy-nilly, that's kind of dangerous and destabilizing when you think about it for more than 4 seconds.
Well, when you think about it further, though, it would appear that someone must have given us powers in one way or another.
Well, yes, but it seemed to be completely random and more or less associated with a horribly traumatic event, not just selling it to someone that wants it. In fact, that seems to just concentrate the powers amongst the people that can afford to get the powers.
Well,
Well-
he's not selling it to me. He's giving it to me, and
He's giving it. That should trip some alarms. Not to.
I ain't look. I suppose this is as much of a devil's bargain as whatever you fellas got yourselves into, and that's what I'm taking away from this here discussion.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
I think your life would be better served by never listening to Billy.
I think I'm gonna go off and have a think about this.
You do
Thanks,
that,
fellas.
Skip. You let me know what you decide.
You're welcome.
Hey, Metric,
Yes, Billy.
do me a favor. Shut the fuck up.
That's never gonna happen, Billy.
Where are my guys? Have they come back yet? This is the next day, right? Presumably they're back.
Yeah, they're. I think they were just like playing pool really incompetently at the next table over. And in fact, I think
Justin,
now,
that pool cue you're using, it's kind of broken in half there, bud.
Yeah, gives me more control.
Right on.
It's shorter, and so
How come Skip gets power offerings and my friends nothing?
Billy, do you really need to ask that question?
Yes, that's why I asked it.
All right. No, I'll let you have this one, Rusty.
Well, I'm not really the guy who calls the shots around here.
So before Billy can ask any more questions, Fixer kind of comes out of the back area, wiping grease off her hands and some normal tinkerish behaviors, and says, "Hey Billy, got your costume ready? Why don't you head back and we'll look it over together?"
Oh, yeah.
just you, Billy. And she so you head back with her, I guess.
Yeah.
So you go back to a small room that is her workshop, and she sits on a stool, and she scrutinizes you and absently flicks ash off the end of her cigarette. And you can see actually that your costume is kind of laid out on the table on the workbench next to her as you described, but she's not really paying attention to it. Instead, she looks at you and she says, "I've been looking over my data, and I'm getting a sense of what happened to those boys. And I thought you should know that even though the damage is pretty bad, they can still recover. Now, anyway. If you keep doing that to them much longer, though, that won't be the case anymore. Past a certain level of abuse, the brain won't function, won't be able to route around the blank spots." She takes another drag and says, "It's your business, bucko. I'm not going to stop you. Just wanted you to be aware of the situation you're heading into. Anyway, there's your costume." And she just, carelessly gestures toward the costume.
Okay. Billy kind of just goes, and then
Nice.
and then okay, so I guess I'm gonna put on my costume.
Yeah,
now.
there's like a bathroom kind of nearby, so
What
I
is
guess you
it,
change into that.
What does it look like?
You can change into it, and then you should go show it to your friends, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
So I've changed it to it, and I'm walking back into the bar, and I'm like, "Check out this, motherfuckers!" And okay, so here's my costume. I'm wearing my leather jacket, except it's been reinforced, right, Matt?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
light armor.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works.
It's got
but-
light armor. It's got enough armor in it to give you like an extra wound slot.
Yeah, and it's been dyed. It's a hazily dark brownish color. And where the
beige.
school, yeah, beige. There you go. Where the school name would go, it says BF on it, and on the sides, on the shoulder pad area, where it would be like the image of the school, it's now a picture of. It's a fog. It's a cloud. It's a cloud. That's what it is. It's definitely a cloud.
Okay.
And then on the back, it says brain fog written in like where the last name on the letter jacket would go. And I've got a simple eye mask, and he's just wearing like jeans and a black t-shirt underneath. That's my costume.
Okay. I think like before they saw the back with the name on it, Justin was like, "All right, great costume, party pooper."
What the fuck?
And Eric goes, "Yeah, now that you got a costume, we can tell people we work for Party Pooper."
You sons of bitches. I immediately go fog form. And
Despite having just been told, okay.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
They kind of freeze and just like, are like, "Oh, okay." Oh.
And then I come back and I go, "Hey Eric, what's my costume's name, or what's my cape name?"
I don't know. What is it?
It's brain fog, motherfucker.
Brain fog. Oh, you've got a costume now. We can tell people we work for brain fog. Brain fog, everyone.
What happened to his voice?
I don't know. I think you broke his brain.
Huh. Well,
Wait, was that was Eric? Sorry.
welcome to the world, brain fog.
Yeah. Well, welcome, brain fog.
Yeah, that's my name. Right, Justin and Eric?
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah, all right, Billy. I brain fog. Yeah.
Right, Rusty, that's my name, right? And I go smoke for a sec.
Yeah. Sure is.
Metric.
Whatever, Billy.
Okay, I go back human form.
Okay.
That's right.
So
It's my favorite letter jacket. I'll kit it out.
so
Ready
now
to
you're,
fog some brains.
so now you're all together in your costumes, to the extent that Rusty has a costume. And before too much longer, there's a flash of blue light, which brain fog and metric are unfamiliar with, and suddenly Lightfinger is in the room, and he's not wearing the cast that he had on last night. You notice, Roll to see if you know anything else. If you notice anything else, you do. Wits.
3.
I think I also got 3.
Yeah, you don't notice anything else. And Lightfinger says, "Hey guys, boss needs you up in the cells, all 3 of you." And then he's kind of
Where?
I'll take you there. I'm familiar.
so he sees that you've accepted, and he disappears in another blue flash.
Well, let's make our way to the cells. Now, you might be in for a bit of a surprise, finding a whole dungeon situation here in the middle of a billiards hall. But that's where we put the debtors. Never quite understood why, though. It seems like if we lock them up, they ain't going to pay us back.
You have a literal debtor's prison in the basement of the bar.
We sure do. We like to keep things old-fashioned.
Oh,
well,
all right.
If you'll follow me.
So you'll, unless there are any further questions for Rusty, you'll head up to Snake Eye's office, which is where Rusty's leading you, and then he leads you through a door at the back of the office that you've probably all noticed before because it's just a plain door, but you probably never made much of it. And you follow him through a hallway that's in the same luxurious style as the office was, doors set along the walls at regular intervals. And finally, Rusty stops at a particular door, and he opens it. And beyond that door is a very different kind of room. It's clearly a prison in gray concrete and steel bars. The cells are bars on the front and both sides, so you can see every prisoner in the room from where you're standing at the doorway. There's no obstruction. And there are people in each of the cells, almost all men, mostly with scraggly beards and filthy rags. None of them react when you come in, though, and those that are vertical seem to be swaying in place with their eyes unfocused. And the next thing you notice is Snake Eyes is actually in the room, standing only a few paces from the door, and his back is to you and facing the prisoners. And he doesn't seem to hear the door open. Roll to see what you can figure out.
Okay. 5.
5 also.
That's 1.
Okay. Billy doesn't notice anything happening at all. The other two realize that Snake Eyes is using his stunning presence on the people in the room, which you felt the other day. But it now occurs to you that it's not just a stunning presence. The reason it overwhelms the mind and results in a mental and physical torpor is that he's borrowing the thinking capacity of his victims. And as you observe this scene, you realize that he's using all these prisoners for processing power.
I am internally disturbed, but I kind of like open the door again and like knock on the outside, and then wait like a couple seconds and then close it.
Okay.
Mr. Snake Eyes, sir, we're here to report.
He starts at the sound of your voice and turns quickly, seeming very irritated and somewhat uncertain whether you saw what he was doing. And he snaps, "I suppose none of you has heard of knocking?"
Actually,
I did summon you
just a second ago.
I did
No, it doesn't
summon
matter.
you, I suppose.
Doesn't matter. What can we do for you?
Well, I need your help with the prisoner, frankly. First, though, I wanted to get some business out of the way. Metric, I made you some promises.
You did. You did.
And I believe it's time for me to start delivering on those promises. I want to keep you around. And I plan to make good use of your skills. But for now, I need to earn your trust. So join me over here. And in the cell, practically immediately to his left is a man who looks to be in a bit better shape than the rest. Like he hasn't been there as long. His beard growth is only at a couple weeks length, and his outfit, formerly a nice shirt and sport coat with suede elbow patches, is less thoroughly ragged.
Must be a professor.
And and he wears a pair of wireframe glasses that are quite smudged. Metric, meet Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith is a professor of financial engineering at Cornell, and he's currently on sabbatical spending some time with us to pay off his debts. He's here willingly. Isn't that right, Professor? And Smith says, of course. Very much enjoying my time at this resort. Glad to hear it. Well, do enjoy our little chats, Dr. Smith. Today, I need you to be of assistance to my colleague Metric here. Metric, please consider Dr. Smith to be entirely at your disposal. And Smith pushes his glasses up his nose, catching the implied threat there, and says, pleased to meet you. Metric, is it? What can I do for you?
Right. Cornell. Right. So I had this idea, Doc. So it was my third summer warming coffee with my residual body heat at Goldman Sachs, and I was in the elevator, right? And this one trader was telling this joke about how one client was selling these widgets that like spun really fast if you held them just right, but they cost like $1 in materials and assembly, and they were selling them for like 50 cents. So they were losing money on every sale. And the trader was trying to explain to this client that this is why they were hemorrhaging money, but the client was like, "That's okay, we'll just need more volume." And I kind of snorted a laugh, and I missed my floor, so I was stuck in the elevator for like 58 more floors. But on the way down, I was like, "Wait a second, what is the point of the financial industry? What does it do?"
And he looks at you as if you're speaking some kind of bizarre heresy, but glances at Snake Eyes and then like sort of beckons for you to continue.
Right, securitization. So you take a bunch of loans, you go into these garbage widget companies that are like obviously going to fail in 6 months. You lump them into one big asset bundle, and you get a credit rating agency to say that it isn't garbage because they all work for you. And then you sell the whole bundle of loan agreements. And because people might be worried the loans are garbage, you can even sell insurance for the garbage loan bundles. And because the insurance is obviously garbage, you can bundle together your insurance policies for all these garbage loan bundles into a new garbage insurance bundle of garbage loans and sell that to people. And because like the objective risk profile of these recursively nested garbage asset bundles are like completely impenetrable to mortal humans, you can sell all this stuff really fast with no oversight and make a ton of money. So after the trader kicked me out of his office, I sat down and I was like, maybe this won't work because there's like not really a boom of garbage widget companies. What's something else that like almost necessarily have to get a loan for at some point because it consumes a tremendous amount of capital, but like everyone ends up getting it because it's a stepping stone to self-actualizing what people convince themselves is the standard path of the American dream.
Jesus fucking Christ.
A home?
No, college education. This whole scheme could probably be used to obliterate the student loans market. So step one, I go to Harvard and get a financial engineering degree because that's the only place that guarantees you entry into the hierarchy, and then I burn it all down. Figure I have about 3 years to pull this off before anyone catches on.
The wheels in Dr. Smith's head are turning, and he says, so your plan is to destroy the financial system so that you can... Oh my God, parahumans are monsters.
Not destroy the whole. Just the student loans market. It's a very small market, all told.
No, you don't understand. This will have far-reaching ramifications. There will be a cascade of collapses.
Look, okay, you don't need to worry. I just want to get into Harvard. Can you get me into Harvard?
He pushes his glasses up his nose again. Now that you've appealed to his ego, he's completely calm again. Oh, well, young man, are you aware that Cornell is actually the top-rated financial engineering school in the country?
That's literally worthless to me. Harvard is the only way to actually perform this plan. You don't understand.
He seems extremely irritated. Now, okay, I have some connections at Harvard. I'm not exactly in a place right now in my life where I can lean on those. And Snake Eyes like sort of folds his arms. But as soon as I'm out of here, I can I'll start throwing my weight around on your behalf. That's a promise.
Excellent. All right, Snake Eyes, let this guy. Let's do this. Let's get this going.
But while you're spewing all this financial stuff, I turn to Billy and go, now, see, this is all bullshit. What you want to do, right, is you want to buy gold bars and you bury them in the backyard in a storage container. That's the only sensible thing to do.
Billy's playing Snake on his phone. He's not been listening to any of that. Yeah, gold, sure.
Wait, he doesn't have a smartphone. This is 2006.
No, phones had Snake on them back then.
They had
It's
Snake?
Snake, man.
Mine didn't have Snake.
Of course not.
None of my phones have ever had Snake.
Do boopers come with Snake?
Oh, that's in version 1.4.
I see. Okay.
Right. Sorry, continue.
Okay. So now Snake Eyes, he sees that kind of the transaction has been completed. Satisfied, Metric?
Very, very much, assuming he delivers.
Yes, well, I will make sure that he does. Now, if you'll all join me, I would ask that you give me a hand with the prisoner. And he leads you down the row of cells to the last one on the end. And he says, Rapture spent some time with her. Either she's unbelievably ignorant or she's unbelievably good at keeping her mouth shut. And I want the three of you to find out which it is. My main concern is finding out how Poke knew about the briefcases, how he has insight into our operations. My secondary concern is understanding the resources the loose cannons have to work with. And you see in the cell, Grail is chained against the back wall of the cell, her wrists in manacles, and she's sagging, sitting up against the wall, clearly mentally and physically drained. Her red face mask has been replaced with a simpler ski mask with large holes for the eyes and mouth so that you can read her emotions. And now that you can see more of her face, you also notice that the burn scar that creeps up her neck also takes up about, most of her mouth and one corner of one eye. And you also notice, of course, a number of other injuries, most of which were incurred when she was being dragged across the street during her capture. And specifically one really bad, untended set of gashes and scrapes on her right leg where it looks like she was dragged through some broken glass.
What monster has done this?
I feel morally great about this.
Alrighty. Well, Metric, you might want to wait outside.
Why?
Oh, I don't think this is going to be your thing.
I mean,
Well,
I'm gonna stay here.
Just so we're clear, this is definitely my thing.
All right. Well, look, let me just emphasize that sometimes it's a little bit of politeness and courtesy can go a long way in these sorts of negotiations.
I mean, of course, it seems obviously wrong that we beat her up to try and get information out of her. That never works.
This is definitely not my thing.
You guys just follow my lead and we'll be fine.
All right, we're on the same page.
I walk in, pull up a stool.
And she's eyeing everyone warily.
I have a seat on the stool, open up my inside duster pocket, pull out my carton of cigarettes, slowly take one out. I'm not saying anything because I'm letting the tension build. This is an art, and I give my cigarette lighter a few flicks, which can be heard in the deafening silence. And then I give my cigarette a few puffs, and then I say, well, I do apologize for the rough treatment that you have received here, but now it is your lucky day. You get the opportunity to converse with myself instead of my talented but less mannerly colleague Rapture, who can come off a bit socially awkward at times.
Yes, well, I appreciate the opportunity. She's her eyes are flicking between you, she's not sure what to make of the situation exactly.
Now, allow me to. I'm sure you've heard of myself. My name is Rusty Greer. These are my associates. Brain Fog, I say with a little bit of emphasis and a wink.
Ew.
And Metric.
I tip my head.
Can I offer you a cigarette, Grail?
No, yeah, those will kill you,
Well, I hope it's the cigarettes that kill me, Grail. I'd consider myself a lucky man. Oh, I notice the gash on her leg. Well, that looks like you've got quite a leg wound there. I apologize for my compatriots here. We aren't always sensitive to such things. Ain't nobody taking care of that for you yet?
She's still trying to be tough and quippy, and she says, somehow it got overlooked, I suppose.
Well, I suppose it must have. Do you know what my power is, Grail?
No, I just moved here. I don't know anyone. I don't even know your cape name. I don't know anything. That's what I told the others.
I look kind of disappointed that she doesn't know my cape name or my name. Especially since I just told her.
What is your cape name?
Don't have one. Well, it's.
I feel like we're pumping this person for information, and I don't know the answers.
This is all
to
the
these
setup.
questions either.
Shut the fuck up. Well, the truth is, young Grail, there are a few people who do know what my power is. And it ain't because I'm particularly trying to keep it a secret. It's just that, well, sometimes it gets away from me a little bit. But, well, you're about to be one of the lucky few. I take out I reach into my duster coat pocket and take out a small vial of kind of clear, hazy liquid. Unscrew the top and take a swig. And then I make this kind of disgusted, puckered face and gag.
She kind of shrinks back away from you.
I reach out and grab her leg suddenly.
Okay. She pulls away reflexively.
But I hold tight.
Okay.
And my eyes become a bit less mannerly. But then from her leg wound, these fuzzy green spores begin to sprout.
Jesus Christ.
And she can
Holy
feel
shit.
like all of these little tendrils, like little worms crawling around inside of her leg. And everyone else can like visibly see the green spores kind of like moving on top.
She's starting to like hyperventilate a bit and pull away in kind of jerky motions.
Well, now you just calm down there, Grail. This here is a type of a mold. So I'm to understand. Don't know too much about how molds work. I didn't graduate from high school myself. Did you graduate
neither.
from high school, Grail?
Yes, of course I did.
Well, from what I understand, the molds have all sorts of useful properties to them, and some of them kill bacteria and the like, and I think you can even make cheese with it.
I kind of vomit a little, but people just kind of hear that, but they don't see anything.
But there is one particular mold that I remember hearing about in biology class that always stuck with me, and it's this little type of mold that somehow works its way into the innards of ants and creeps up to their brainstem. Then it takes control of their body somehow. It hijacks their brain, and it makes them walk up to the nearest stem of grass and go all the way to the tippy top, and then it bursts out of their skull and spreads the spores all over the world to reproduce.
Rusty, I thought we were not trying to scare the girl here.
Shut up, nerd. This is awesome.
It's kind of like these little spores here, actually. And then she feels the worms like suddenly shoot up like a few inches up her leg, like toward her brain.
Oh my god. I don't know anything. I told them I don't know anything.
Now, what we'd really like to know is, how did Poke know about our little transport operation?
I don't know. God, make it stop. Poke never tells us anything. He always just stays up on the third floor in his little dimension. We even bring him food up there. I don't know anything about his plans, honest.
The mold stops for a second. Well, very good, Grail. That's, this is how we have a conversation with each other. And, maybe you can tell me a little bit about, your teammates that we encountered the other night and were none too mannerly. One of them, in fact, damaged my car and did not leave their insurance information, which distressed me greatly. Perhaps if you tell me their names, I can be reimbursed for my damages.
I don't know what you're talking about. At this point, I'm going to make all three of you roll, and the way I've done this is I'm going to sum up your rolls to determine how much information you ultimately get out of her.
Okay. We got a 3.
1.
I also got a 3. Good job, guys. Way to go.
That's horrible. Okay, that's fine. All right. So you asked
About the attackers.
Yeah, I don't know them. I don't know what you're even talking about. I don't know. They're not in our gang. Not that I know of anyway. We've got Fugazi, and Mook. Don't do this. Fugazi won't let you get away with this. If anything happens to me, I swear to God.
Oh. Don't believe I've had the pleasure of meeting this Fugazi or this Mook, or perhaps I have. Perhaps you could tell me a little bit about him.
Fugazi, he's the smartest tinker there is, and he's brave, and he's kind, and he makes robots, deadly robots. You don't want to cross him.
Unlikely.
Well, he sounds like a swell fellow indeed. I'll be sure not to cross old Fugazi. I'm sensing a little bit of sweetness in your voice. Is there a boyfriend of yours? The mold shoots up a little bit more.
She, despite the fact that she flinches away from that, she clams up and won't say anything else.
Well, that's just about as good as any response. Ain't Cape Love just the cutest thing you ever did see? Brings a tear to my eye. Well,
Rusty,
yeah,
Rusty.
yeah.
I could fog her.
Well, I turn back to Grail and excuse me for a moment. What exactly did you have in mind, Brain
I was
Fog?
thinking, what if we told her that she already gave us all the information, and then she'd think she did it already, and maybe would give it again?
Oh, well, that's actually a pretty darn good plan there, Brain Fog. I'm very impressed.
That work.
Why don't you carry out this whole thing? Grail, don't you worry. I'm told this is mostly painless and with very little long-term side effects.
All right, I'm gonna fuck her up.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Roll for me.
6.
Okay.
Actually, no, because I get minus because I'm trying to do a lot of stuff. So it's actually a 4.
Okay. You're trying to do
doing -2.
Oh, okay. So you're taking okay. So
Yeah.
you can explain however much of that you want, I guess.
Yeah. So my base roll is if I'm just doing something very simple, if I'm editing something very small, a color or a direction something went or something like that, I could do a -1 modifier to completely erase an entire minute, and I can do a -2 modifier to try to edit out a 5-minute chunk of time.
Okay.
So that's what I was going for.
Cool.
Okay.
So I'm basically telling her that over the last 5 minutes, she has basically spilled everything to us. She's told us all the stuff we wanted to know, everything about the loose cannons and all that stuff.
Okay. I think probably one of the two of you is going to have to succeed at a social roll because you can't actually edit the memory to contain the things that she said because you don't know them. You just kind of give her an impression that that's what she was saying, even though if she were actually to think about it, it would just be confusing. So both of you roll social.
I got a 5.
Okay, that's good enough.
Oh, yeah,
Actually, yeah, and she didn't roll very well. So so now you're gonna have to
Yeah,
verbally play this out.
I'll say something like, we're very pleased that you've told us exactly where to find your boyfriend and exactly what kinds of things he builds.
So she's just very disoriented and then sags even more as she kind of like realizes what she's done, and looks completely heartbroken. And says, "Yeah, there's not a lot of hope for me, is there?"
Well, this is breaking my heart a little bit. Well, don't you worry there, Grail. As long as your leader Poke, which you've told me is a very reasonable gentleman, goes along with surrenders himself to us, then there's nothing for you to worry about, and you'll soon be back together with your beloved.
She snorts and shakes her head and says, "Poke, he doesn't give a shit about me. The only one who cares about me is Fugazi, and it's not like he can go off on his own. Mook's a good enough guy, but his only talent is the ability to get out of situations that nobody else could get out of, which isn't going to help me. Vector is just a mercenary, not committed. He won't go out on a limb to save me. And Cannon, he barely leaves the place."
Well,
Yeah, you definitely told us all this already.
well, Grail, there's a kindness in my voice, and the mold recedes, or at least the wiggling toward her brain stops, and she can feel the wound in her leg like stitching back together soothingly. If you don't mind me asking, why did you join the Loose Cannons? It sounds like they ain't treated you too well.
Poke offered me something that I wanted, and he's made a good case that he could provide it. No one else was offering it, and there was no other way I could get it.
That sounds familiar.
Was that offer in the form of powers, Grail?
She just looks a bit confused. No, closer to revenge, I think you would say.
Revenge on who?
She looks like very dark at this. My ex-boyfriend.
Is he the one who gave you that burn scar there?
She just looks at you with like hatred and anger, which is basically a confirmation.
Well, Grail, sounds like you ain't been treated too well in the past, but despite some of your introductions here, let me tell you that we're all a family. Ain't that right? Brain fog and metric.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dad.
sure.
Now, you have to understand that we came down hard on you because, well, you went against us, and we're the rule of law in this city. But Snake Eyes isn't so unreasonable not as to not welcome those who have gone astray back into the flock, so to speak. Perhaps you'd like to consider yourself and your beloved Fugazi quitting your current employ with Poke, who seems not to care too much about you and makes you glorified food servants, and join our esteemed establishment here, where you will be given a stipend, and you can play as much billiards as you like down in the front room.
All right, let's roll social and see if this got any headway.
2.
She just like, kind of closes up and says, "No, thank you. I would rather die than betray Fugazi, and he's not going to betray Poke, and that's just all there is to it."
Well, I am sorry to hear that.
Fungus her.
I do hope things work out for you, Grail, but if I were you, I'd pray to whatever higher power you believe in. Gentlemen, shall we exit stage left,
Yeah,
so to speak?
I've had more than enough of this for this year.
He told you to leave, dude.
Jesus.
Snake Eyes is like at the far end of the room, and he's doing his thing on like half of the room because he can't actually. He's not facing you. He's facing away from you. And as you approach, he turns. Anything useful?
Well, I think we got a little bit of information about the makings up and the social dynamics of the gang. Seems to me that this poke stays in his little pocket dimension on the 3rd floor pretty much 24/7. Even gets him to bring his food up there for him. So as far as retrieving the briefcases out of him, I think a direct approach is going to be a no-go. There's a few members of the group that we've identified. One by the name of Fugazi or Benghazi or something like that, who's a tinker, some sort. We've got Mook, who I believe we may have had a tussle with the other night. Gentleman by the name of Cannon, and of course our mercenary friend Vector, who, as of yesterday evening, I'm guessing is no longer our friend.
Cannon and Fugazi, was it? Fugazi? Well, we'll look them up and see if we have any information on them. Good to know what we're getting into. We hadn't got that information out of her before, so she wasn't as thoroughly useless as she appeared to be at first.
Well, sometimes you just gotta ask politely. And sometimes you have to use a brain-altering fog to your favorite. And a mind-controlling mold. But such things aren't so strange in this world that we live in.
This is true. Tex, I would like a word alone. Billy and Metric, could you give us a moment?
Sure. And I walk out backwards saying, I can't believe you fuck with brains too, bro. We're brain buddies.
No.
Okay. After sort of an uncomfortably long silence, he says, Tex, as you know, my role has always been that of a problem solver. Give me the parameters and I can find the solution. This situation, I find that I lack the parameters. There are too many variables I can't control for. And furthermore, I lack, and he looks at you with kind of a hard look, experience at street level, shall we say.
Well, Mr. Snake Eyes, I know you don't need my advice, but I can provide a certain lowly perspective. And I knew Pit Boss pretty well. Perhaps I could tell you what he might have done in this situation.
And at first, Snake Eyes shrugs, and he's like, in the time I was with Pit Boss, he never had to use violence. His abilities simply enabled him to get around that sort of thing. But if you have any insight into what Pit Boss did in the old days, perhaps before he had enough power to ensure the outcome he wanted without violence, then yes, that's exactly the sort of insight that I would find useful at this moment.
I look around the room, kind of like cautiously, and then I suggest, well, why don't we go on a little road trip away from the prying eyes and ears of the city, to somewhere where we can talk in relative peace.
He thinks this over, and like clearly thinking through a lot of complex things, and you can actually see him glancing back toward, the back room where the prisoners are, being aware that he's going to be separated them from a long time if he goes on a road trip. But then eventually he seems to realize that he needs this information because he's not making any progress. And yes, a road trip. That certainly sounds like a change of pace, and perhaps that's what I need. Let's get out of here, Tex.
I go out to my sky blue pickup with the non-sky blue driver's side door.
Okay.
But I open the passenger side for Snake Eyes and like empty cigarette cases and whiskey bottles and stuff fall out onto the pavement as they do.
He eyes that in the interior of the car with mild distaste, but clearly gets over it and just climbs into the passenger seat.
I whistle for Skip to jump in the back bed.
Dog, you mean?
All right. Yeah, Dog. I whistle for Dog to get in the back bed.
Okay.
And then I get in the driver's seat and I drive out of the city and into the desert a ways. And when we're out of the city, I start offering my advice.
All right, so it's about an hour later, and the three of you have driven together. I think you all probably decided to take Metric's sedan just because there's going to be a lot of driving today. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, sure.
I call shotgun.
The car I picked might actually be a 2-seater, but we can fix that in post.
Are you going to try to bring the henchman with you?
If we have room for him, yeah. Fuck yeah.
And
They're my meat shields.
You all have to squeeze into the back, I guess, if it's a sedan.
Okay. Okay, so you are the errand that you're on right now is the first in a series of 3 errands that you're going to have to accomplish today, and this one is among the more open-ended of them. You're driving down a side road that's actually very near to the Jackdaw's Sphinx, the club that you had your altercation at last night, and I'm gonna let the scene.
Yes. Okay. So I've told everyone we're going on a little mission. Well, boys, when one steals from you in your own city, one must retaliate swiftly and with great force. Now, the first step, however, is to offer your person who betrayed you the opportunity to subjugate themselves before you in a humiliating and costly manner. Now, it's not so important that they accept this offer, so much as it has been seen that the offer was given. Now, the point of this here mission is to deliver just such a message with the terms of the subjugation. In this particular occasion, it's important that there's no evidence left behind of who it is offering this message. So, my first question is, Metric,
Yeah.
does the bleeper work between different dimensions?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever tried.
Well, I don't suppose any of us has the ability to create an alternate dimension to test it out.
Well, we could try something a little bit.
And would it be possible to delete a bleep once it had been sent? And in such a way that no one could take a screenshot of it later, like a temporary sort of message.
The Bleeper app is entirely built around security, so of course all messages are deleted after about 28 hours.
You know what you definitely could never do, though? Edit a bleep.
That's true. That would require a complete software rewrite.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and suggest, if you don't mind, Metric, that perhaps we relay our message via bleep.
All right, I can work with that.
Don't they have to have one of those things?
Well, we're going to give him one.
All right.
So you're driving, you're driving toward the Jackdaw Sphinx, and everyone just kind of roll wits to see like what you're noticing as you're heading toward the building.
I guess I turn on my vision as well.
Okay.
'Cause
I got a 1.
I also got a 1.
Okay.
I got a 3.
Okay. You've fallen into a gray area in my outcome chart. So what you notice, Metric, as you're driving in, your attention is mainly on the building that you're heading towards, but it's not in your range yet. But something kind of catches your eye, and it's the fact that there's like a guy standing on one of the street corners, just kind of idly smoking a cigarette. But the reason he catches your attention is that he's like flaring brightly in your vision, as if he were full of electronics.
Interesting. Looks like there's a android or something on the corner there, looking all conspicuous like with the cigarette.
Now that you've noticed it, you actually notice like at the next street corner that you pass, there's a guy who's just like repeatedly shuffling cards, and he is also rife with electronics.
And on the next corner, same thing.
You're telling me
Card
that
shuffling guy.
that card shuffling guy right there is a robot.
Well, either a robot or he's covered in wires that are carrying current for some reason.
Well, boys, I think we've just learned ourselves another valuable piece of information. It seems to me that us knowing amongst them therein lies a tinker, and us also knowing that therein in this world of ours this sort of technology don't exist, that perhaps this tinker is skilled in the art of making little human-y robot dudes.
Well, that's terrifying.
Yeah, forgeries,
Yes.
if you will.
There is something vaguely dystopian about it all.
Sometimes you just confuse me with your words.
Well, that's
Okay, Billy.
you just don't have the worldly wisdom that I've accumulated over my many years, but there are many benefits to youthful ignorance as well.
Thanks.
So your car, these androids haven't really actually reacted. But as your car approaches, you successfully drive up to the front of the club, and I guess you're now stopped in front of the club.
All right. I'm gonna put the beeper in a envelope, and write on it to poke.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So after you've got out of the car,
Haven't gotten out of the car yet.
okay.
Should I record?
Gotcha.
should I did Snake Eyes give us a message, or are we supposed to leave the message, or it doesn't matter?
I think that previously you discussed what the message should be. So you could enter it now if you wanted, or you
Okay.
could send it later. It's up to you.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just send it so that it's there, so that if they look at it, they're not just like, "What the hell's this?" They can just read the message.
Yeah, and then it's intuitive enough, as Metric designed it to
Yeah.
be, that they could then
very
respond
intuitive.
easily.
It's
Yeah.
a very intuitive user interface. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then what?
Well, what I recommend, seeing as we don't know exactly the strength of their operation, would be to use the opportunity to divide and conquer, if you will. Request that Poke meet us out here in the middle of the desert. I kind of pulled the car over, probably like an hour outside of the city, like maybe like 80 miles or something into the desert.
Okay.
And I stop the car and get out. I reckon here'd be a pretty good spot. There's it's kind of like a rocky area, so there's like rocks and stuff that people could conceivably hide behind.
Okay.
I say we tell Poke in this message that he's to come alone to this location with the stolen merchandise and say $500,000 of apology money. And we will be waiting here with his associate Grail, who we will indicate will not be permanently harmed if he capitulates to our request.
Okay, so Snake Eyes has like opened the door, but is just kind of like sitting sideways on the seat and thinking this through, and says, "Yes, I don't think Poke will be the one to show up, but by divide and conquer, I suppose you mean whoever does show up here, we won't have to deal with back at their headquarters."
Well, that's exactly right. And since we know that they will be retrieving Grail, we happen to know that Grail has a personal relationship with at least one of the members of the Loose Cannons that I don't think will be forgotten. We can prepare a little gift in advance of 30 or so pounds of C4 explosives in the...
Tex, I'm enjoying this little session.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll get out of the car now then.
Okay. So as you're approaching the door, the door opens and 3 costumed figures step out of the door, not running, but not exactly relaxed either. And all 3 of them are identical. They're all wearing like a faux robotic motif with like gears and springs kind of on the costume. The only thing that's not identical is that they're each carrying very different looking weapons. And the middle one of them shouts at you, "Where is she?"
Well, don't you worry about it there, Benghazi. Your beloved is in safe hands, and this here in this envelope is the terms of how you can get her back. As nearly as in the future as tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. I toss him the envelope.
And the one, whichever one you toss it to, catches it. And the middle one again goes, "You sons of bitches, if you hurt one hair on her head, I will kill you, I swear to God."
Well, I do appreciate and understand the your conviction, sir. But as long as Poke abides by the agreement of the city, then no harm will befall her. And trust me, sir, no part of me wants to see any harm befall her as well. Now, I do hope to be seeing you again in the near future, but perhaps not after that in the future, because we would like you to get out of town. Anyway, it's all in the note, and good day to you, sir. Farewell.
Okay. You can't see his face, but he's obviously really angry, but also understands the situation well enough to not attack you, because that wouldn't serve him at all.
Do I get any info from looking at these guys with my eyes?
Yes. What you notice is that the one on the far left is organic, and the one who is speaking and the one on the right are both androids.
All right. I don't think there's any way of me saying this without revealing to him that I also know, so I'll just hold on to that for a second.
Yeah, not like you're going to be fighting, so it doesn't particularly. Yeah. So he takes the envelope, and him and his android stalk back inside, looking over his shoulder as he heads in and closes the door. And that's all that happens for now. The androids at the corners are now looking at you as you drive away, though, overtly.
I get back in the car and well, some of this creepy cape shit just never ceases to surprise me.
Well, I mean, like, all things considered, especially compared to our last couple of jobs, that went pretty well.
That's definitely true.
I believe you're right, Billy, and I appreciate that it's a positive outlook from you.
Hell yeah, man.
So, what's the
Brain Bros?
what's the plan here? This is it's kind of cloak and daggers stuff. Where are we going? What's
contained within said message is an offer to Poke for a way out for him and his compatriots. Now, our next step is to just account for Plan B. in the likely event that he doesn't do exactly what we say. Our next stop will be at the abode of notorious Las Vegas Cape Eyes and Ears, who perhaps you're familiar with.
Nope.
Is he the one that like put the stuff on us that that was like watching us all the time, or is that the different?
Well,
game?
that's a she, young metric, and I believe that exposes something about your preconceived gender prejudices.
Oh my god!
You would assume that is.
Oh my god!
But she is indeed the cape who can place little capey-like recording devices upon you and in some way or another hear and see what you say in a very intrusive 1984-esque spine manner.
You have to admit that would be really useful if we had that ability.
Well, it certainly would. And in fact, Metric, in a sense, we do have that ability, because although Eyes and Ears does technically work for the Protectorate, she has very expensive tastes and can be persuaded to look the other way, or in some cases see things that she might not have actually seen.
Interesting. Tell me more.
Well, I've pretty much told you the whole load of it there, Metric. So if you'll just go to this this address here, we can buy her some nice gifts so that she can look in the direction that we choose.
All right.
Okay. So you drive to the address, and
what is the address like, by the way?
so it takes you a while to get there because it's a really nice neighborhood. It's a pretty nice house in the wealthier part of town, and the house is actually behind like a gate, with a panel to buzz through at the front.
Okay. Yep. I buzz.
So before anything happens here, I just want to point out that we're going to the known surveillance cape's house to do
Correct.
business.
Yes.
All right, let's continue.
What's the problem?
After a fairly short wait, you hear "Hello, who's there?"
Well, howdy there, Miss Eyes and Ears. It's your good friend Rusty.
She laughs and says, "Oh, Rusty, oh, please come in. I don't get a lot of visitors. The front door's unlocked."
Thank you, ma'am. We'll be in shortly. We enter.
Okay. I don't see how we're going to squeak out of this one, Tex.
Well, what you might be wondering is if our rivals' base of operations were suddenly to go ablaze, that the suspicion might fall upon our noble selves.
Precisely.
But what we need in this situation is just something of a scapegoat. And we've got a troublesome couple of mysterious, robotic, and snazzily dressed enemies that we also have a problem with as well, and we know that they've been working with the loose cannons, so it wouldn't be out of the question if they were to become disgruntled and retaliate in some fiery manner.
Yes, but how do we manage this?
Well, the first bit of the plan would be to pay Eyes and Ears to tell the story that we want to tell. She saw, through someone's eyes, a robot attacking the Loose Cannons nightclub. Second of all, we have a useful new friend who's capable of overriding the minds of a potential eyewitness to this destruction.
Yes, we do. That is an angle that I had not considered, and indeed, now that you mention it, quite a useful asset to have in our pocket.
Well, I tend to agree with you, sir. And on the off chance that the giant robot does show up in some form, since he may or may not be working with our adversary Poke, all we have to do is be prepared to take a few photographs of him with the fiery destruction in the background in such a way that it doesn't implicate any of our selves or noble selves here.
So Snake Eyes is smiling at this point. Says, I don't know, Tex. This is quite extreme, isn't it?
I act like a little bit surprised and say, "Oh, is it, sir? I'm sorry."
Well, no, I'm not obviously averse to violence. I'm merely surprised to hear this coming out of your mouth. But by all means, continue. This so far seems like it should work. And as she said, the front door is indeed unlocked.
And what sights await us?
It's just like a nice, well manicured, large kind of lawn with a driveway. Inside the house, I suppose you go in.
Yes.
All the blinds and the curtains are drawn, and it's very dark in the house. And nobody greets you at the door, but you hear kind of some like domestic noises from back toward like where you surmise the kitchen must be.
Okay.
So do you head back there? Yeah.
Yep. And I politely knock and, I remove my hat upon entering the home because that's the polite thing to do in a person's dwelling.
Okay.
Yep. And then go and knock on the side of the kitchen door.
Okay. So you see Eyes and Ears looks up at you and kind of gives a small smile. She's in the kitchen cutting some carrots with a chef's knife on a cutting board. She's kind of middle-aged, like extremely thin and extremely pale, with very pale blonde hair, and she's wearing a bathrobe and no mask at all. Just looking for all the world like just a woman who's starting to cook some dinner. Welcome. Oh, this is exciting.
Well, ma'am, it sure is good to see you again. And if I may say so myself, it smells like you're cooking up a delicious and nutritious meal.
Oh, yes, just making some stew. Who are your friends? Rusty?
Oh, well, pardon my manners, Eyes and Ears. These are my newest associates, and young and full of hopes and ambitions. Brain Fog here to my left. Say hi to Eyes and Ears, Brain Fog.
What's up?
And to my right here is Young Metric.
I nod.
Yeah. It's so nice to see people. I don't get out much. In fact, I think I've been in this house for 15 years now and haven't really left. But not that I have any need to, right? I can see anything I need to see, and she laughs a little bit manically. So all I really have are my creature comforts, and she kind of waves the knife around at the room. And I'm sure, as Rusty's told you, the Protectorate pays me, but not enough.
No, they don't appreciate you, Eyes and Ears, not the way that we do. Well, which brings me to the point of my social call here, Eyes and Ears, which, besides the pleasure of seeing your lovely face, of course, is to ask you to have a look and a listen at something for us. And perhaps not a look and a listen at something else.
Ah, yes. Well, this kind of thing, I'm used to it, but you're gonna have to convince me, guys. You know how much trouble I can get in if I, look the other way, and the boss calls me, tells me to look at the thing. I have to lie. I can get, it gets testy. So what exactly are we talking about here?
Well, and this may or may not happen now. You understand. But say a certain sort of domestic disaster were to befall some structure or another in Vegas tomorrow morning. Now, there's been some troublemakers in town. I don't know if you've seen them on the news. This giant robot sort of man and his armored sidekick have been pushing over cars and whatnot. It's all very violent, very dangerous, and I'm sure the Protectorate is looking for him as we speak.
Yes. I've been trying to keep an eye on them. They are remarkably slippery.
Yeah, they are. Now, what's going to happen tomorrow? Well, what we'd like you to do is just tell the Protectorate that it was these two that was responsible. And in fact, as a added benefit that might just work out for all of us, I suspect there's a good chance that they'll actually show up at the scene, and given the Protectorate a good chance to, well, put them down.
Oh, I like this. So this doesn't seem very high risk. But, you know, for something like this, important enough that you boys came in person, it's gonna cost you. So I think this is where you roll social and see how successful you are and what it's gonna cost.
6.
She kind of goes back to cutting carrots and goes,
Can I,
Go ahead.
does she, do I know that she likes to play board games or some indoor activity particularly?
yes, she loves board games because it's kind of the only thing she can do since she's always indoors.
Excellent. So as part of my 6, my move is, and now, eyes and ears, I remember you had a fine set of dominoes, and maybe you'd like to, you'd be kind enough to entertain us with a few games.
That sounds wonderful, Rusty. I've always liked you. You remind me of my sons. I was gonna ask you for 5,000, but I'll knock off 1,000. Just you know, it's I just love you.
Thank you.
And I need a new sink, so.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I hope you get a fine sink. And, of course, we'll, you don't have to give me a discount on this particular occasion. We'll give you the full 5,000 so you can get the nicest sink that you want.
Oh, you are such a delight. She pulls out her domino set.
So we walked into the eyes and ears. What is going on here? Why aren't you terrified of us?
Oh, I'm not afraid of you. You see, I know things. I know a lot of things. If something happens to me and I don't check in regularly with certain people, then certain letters get put in the mail. There are a lot of parties who have a vested interest in those letters never being sent. So I have a very large number of very dangerous, very powerful people who are very concerned with keeping me alive and healthy. Perhaps I thought that you would feel threatened because you came in person. No, I'm not the one who's in danger here, boys.
Well, I don't know who would ever want to hurt you, eyes and ears. Anyway, shall we partake in this game of dominoes?
So you all sit down around the dinner table to play a game of dominoes with eyes and ears.
Excellent.
Oh, I don't
We're
know.
not
Yeah, I
actually
don't think we're
gonna
gonna
do
actually do
that,
that.
right?
That's fine.
Roll for dominoes.
Okay.
Smash cut. Yeah.
After
Unless someone's really concerned about who won. I think eyes and ears probably won.
Yeah.
well, on purpose, I don't play a domino that I could have.
Okay, and also
win.
she can see all of your, all of your
yeah.
hands.
Well, not that really matters in dominoes, but
Correct.
okay, so I don't do that.
It's becoming a running theme that I don't understand how to play any games though. So
That is very obvious.
That is true.
Well, we finish our game and yep, and tip our hats. And
Okay,
our hats are already off because we're indoors. And that would be rude. And then make our way out.
As the other guys like walk off, I kind of hang back a little bit and I go to eyes and ears and I was like, so like you could find anyone that's in the city for me if like I needed it?
well, for the right fee, yeah, if you gave me a picture of their face, yeah, I could do that.
Cool. We'll talk later.
Nice.
So it's these errands. You've been doing a lot of driving and a lot of talking. So it's getting later in the day.
We want to stop by the 8-Ball and just pay a visit to Fixer.
Okay.
Just to check for
yeah.
bugs since we were
Good
just
move.
at Eyes and Ears' house.
Okay. All right. So you just go ahead and go right back to her office, and she's cranking on some piece of hardware that looks rather jagged and full of pipes. What's up, boys? What's up?
Well, Fixer, we're here for our increasingly frequent checkup.
All right. So just to make this relatively quick, why don't you all just roll guts?
3.
4.
4.
All three of you, you experience the same pain as before, except it lasts for like a couple seconds longer. And where the electrodes are attached to your body, the skin actually begins to hurt like very intensely. And when they're pulled off, it's clear that you have like a second degree burn on a couple or 2 or 3 of the contact points. So you've each actually taken a lesser wound from this cleaning.
Okay.
Great.
I wince and be like, Fixer, you really need to clean up this technology a little bit.
Well, these powers, they're pretty sunk in there sometimes. You should be glad you have me, champ.
Well, I sure am, Fixer. So were we bugged?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, you had eyes and ears stink all over you. She was watching this whole conversation.
Yep. Well, that's what I suspected. Well, anyway, we do have one more errand to attend, gentlemen. Now that evening has fallen. So Vector hangs out at a particular nightclub, I'm to understand?
Yeah, there's you happen to know, like you've worked with him a few times. You know that he likes to hang out at this one nightclub and waste money there. And he kind of considers himself to be like a big deal, so he'll be there in costume, kind of holding court, and just like basically wanting everyone to think that he's awesome, and of course like spending money rather freely so that they pretend to think he is. If you're gonna find him, he's gonna be there.
Okay.
We're not going to kidnap another person, are we?
No. This is going to be a business deal. Well, perhaps there's a third enemy that we haven't factored into the equation yet, and that's the fact that old Vector, sort of for-hire mercenary type that we've used in the past, has now decided to accept a job against us. And, well, we don't really acknowledge that type of neutrality in this city.
Yes, it might do to make an example of him.
Perhaps we could hire him as a part of this desert operation for protection in a normal sort of way that we might do. And then he could get caught, and if he were to get caught in any sort of explosion or even blamed for the attack in the future, well, that seems to just benefit us.
Yes, yeah, this does tie everything up quite nicely, doesn't it?
I actually go to the back door of the nightclub and talk to the bouncer, and because we don't want it to be seen that a bunch of capes are going in here meeting with them.
Okay.
So I tell the bouncer, and I suspect that something like this has happened before, so that everyone just doesn't see a bunch of capes organizing a black deal. But I tell the bouncer interested in business proposition with Vector.
He goes inside for a short time, and then he comes back out and he says, "All right, he's gonna meet you in the suite alone. Behave, fellas." And he tries to seem intimidating, even though you're 3 capes, and he's obviously intimidated of you.
Right. I politely raise my eyebrows as if to say, "Oh, I'm very intimidated."
Okay.
I salute the guy.
So yeah, you go in, and there's the private suites in the back, and he kind of just like points at one of the doors, and that's where you're gonna find Vector.
Okay. Yep, we go in there without being noticed by people in the general.
Do I see anything around here?
I mean, it just seems like a normal nightclub.
Right.
I think so. With your eyes, you mean?
Yeah.
I think the only thing you notice is that Vector is like sitting before you go in the room. You can see through the door, and you see that the man in the room, he's like kind of super casually sitting behind kind of like a table, but there's like a distortion under the table, like surrounding his hands, and that's all you really notice.
Michael, should I go like gas form for this? Just in case.
Actually, yeah.
I'm invisible.
Let's say that you were gas formed this time.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
So it's just me and Metric.
All right. Gents. Tex, how have you been? No hard feelings from last night, I hope. I'm not acquainted with this one. Hey, Sally, get these guys some Cristal.
Whiskey neat for me, please.
PBR.
Well, Vector, I know it's business and all. No hard feelings on our end. Of course, I hope that arm's healing up and Dog didn't do you too bad there.
Oh no, of course. You know, it's all just business, brother. It's all just business.
Well, ain't that the truth? Well, this here is my new associate, Metric. You probably ran across each other the other
We
night.
did.
Oh yeah.
But I'm here not on a social call, but on a business call, as we are both men of business.
I'm not sure what exactly you could have to transact with me. You know, I'm under contract. You know how it is, Tex.
Are you under contract? Well, I wasn't aware of that. In fact, I was hoping I could get your attention for a job tomorrow. But
Well,
I was going to offer a pretty good fee, but if you're otherwise occupied.
Tomorrow? I'm sorry. This isn't a matter of how much you're offering. In this line of work, a man's only as good as his reputation.
Well, I do understand. And well, I'll be awfully disappointed not to see you tomorrow, but I reckon we can handle whatever it is that needs to be handled.
All right. Well, why don't do you want to roll a social roll? See if you can make any headway with him.
No, because
Okay.
I've gotten kind of some valuable information anyway.
Okay.
And if he's under contract, then I don't want to hire him for this job. So we'll just.
He actually seems a little bit surprised at how easily you kind of back off. And he's just like he actually like shifts a little bit.
I noticed that and tip my hat and like leave so as to like see if he stops me. Well, till next time, Vector. Enjoy your night and your new steady job.
Oh, all right, guys. Yep. All right. Yep. Please enjoy yourselves in the club. Another round of drinks on me, Sarah.
No. That won't be necessary if we can't have the pleasure of your employment. Well, then I'm afraid we might need to be looking elsewhere. So,
Oh, all right. Well, see you on the front lines. See you on the front lines, guys.
we'll be seeing you.
Start leaving.
Yeah. He lets you go. I think. Are you? I guess this is a leading question, but are you keeping an eye on him as you leave?
I was not.
Billy. Well,
Okay.
Billy is, but
Yeah.
not with any special powers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Billy, I think like the
I'm just hanging back. I don't leave right away.
he kind of like stands up and you see that his hands were like surrounded by like the extremely bright violet light that he was like hiding kind of under the table and kind of between his legs so the light wouldn't leak out. And he looks a little bit nervous now that no one's here, and he lets the light die down, and then he pulls a phone out of his pocket and he calls someone. And I guess if you're hanging around, he says, yeah, it's me. Some of those high rollers guys just came by here trying to hire me for something. I don't know. They wouldn't tell me. I mean, they clammed up as soon as I gave them the slightest bit of resistance. Okay, yeah, all right, I'll come by. Shit. He hangs up and then he kind of like swiftly walks out of the room through the cloud of gas.
I follow him out and then meet up with the other
Okay.
guys.
Yeah. Okay. We're in the car, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just like, I'm going to get into the car through the exhaust pipe and then I materialize in the back seat. between my guys who are presumably still there.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. Yeah. I hope we rolled the windows down for him when we went inside earlier.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Oh, hey, Billy. Oh,
Billy, did you learn anything?
Yeah, he was like freaking out. He was ready to use his power on you, man. And then, as soon as we left, he called someone.
Oh.
Told him what you talked about.
Well, we didn't talk about much, but that is a useful bit of information. We now know that Vector is, for all intents and purposes, no longer a mercenary, but a member of the Loose Cannons.
Didn't we know that already?
Well, in fact, we did not know that. We've hired Vector for a number of jobs before. However, if he is working for the Loose Cannons there, and Poke wants to get more information, I half expect we might get another phone call here with him suddenly changing his mind after thinking it over.
Well, should we follow him?
Well, I suspect he's going back to the Jackdaw Sphinx, but perhaps you could send your cylinder to keep an eye on him.
I guess I could try. I don't know if he's fast enough yet. App, can you keep an eye on someone for me?
yes, sir. It would be my pleasure. I've been aching to stretch my legs and do some work on my own, if you don't mind me saying.
Of course, as long as it's
And-
not, something crazy.
Oh, nothing that you wouldn't approve of, sir, of course. And his laugh is like robotic and weird. And you see like a flare of light outside the window as like his invisibility sort of breaks as he activates his like speed power and flies off.
All right, got that handled.
Huh. Do you, does that thing sort of have a mind of its own, or?
Oh, as much as anything does.
Well, that's fair enough. Well, perhaps we should just return to the 8-ball and, or I can drop, or, well, if you could just drop me off back at the 8-ball, Metric, seeing as you're the one that's driving, I've got a few other things to tie up this evening. No sense you all getting worked up about or anything. But what y'all should make sure you do is get a good night's sleep and show up at the 8-ball at 4 a.m. sharp.
That's really fucking early.
Well, it is early. But
I think I'll just stay awake. But all right, see you there, Rusty.
Metric, I've got a little job for you tonight. Hopefully
Right.
you weren't intending on sleeping or anything.
Well,
But
no.
we're gonna need to go over to the old Jackdaw Sphinx.
All right.
And
What are we doing at the Sphinx?
well, we're gonna do a little bit of surveillance.
Oh, all right. Should we take Billy with us?
Well, maybe Billy can get himself a good night's sleep before tomorrow, where we'll be needing his powers in particular.
Am I being excluded?
No, Billy. Fact, I suppose if you want, you can join us on this.
No, fuck y'all.
Alrighty.
Me and my boys get out of the car.
All right.
All right. Well, Magic. Guess it's just you and me now.
All right. Let's do this.
We drive to the Jackdaw Sphinx, and now it's kind of very awkwardly silent because there's not a third Billy in the car, and I'm assuming Metric isn't very good at small talk.
He's just
And-
he's completely silent the entire time.
Yeah, and neither is Rusty. So I just kind of like look around and like make sign noises, and I'm like, "So, you make that costume yourself, or?"
Yes.
Oh man, I'm sure glad I missed out on this riveting conversation.
While Rusty and Chad are driving, what are you up to with your friends, Billy?
Hey, Eric.
Yeah. Brain fog.
Shut up, man. Listen,
Sorry.
this job tomorrow is big. It's the biggest thing we've done so far.
Yeah.
But you know we got some other stuff going on, right?
Yeah. I think I remember something about.
Just shut up. Just shut up. So, you're gonna head back home, and I need you to get
Back home.
a yearbook from the school.
Okay, Billy. Tomorrow?
Yeah, just
But
yeah,
the
just-
job, Billy.
Just do
the
it.
job.
Don't worry about the job. We'll take care of it. Just shut the fuck up. Get the yearbook and get back here as soon as possible.
Okay, man. For what? For our year?
It's yeah.
Oh,
what? Yeah.
Okay, Billy. All right.
Jesus. Just go.
Okay.
Well, not right now, but tomorrow.
Okay. And he seems to register the importance of this through all the layers of confusion that are constantly oppressing his mind.
What are you talking about? He's
Yeah.
fine. He's totally fine.
Anyway, we get
So
yeah.
yes. So as you approach,
We're not going to park
yeah.
near it because we know about the robots.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
But I think Metric, you basically always have an awareness of kind of where App is, and you actually kind of realize you can see the building even though you're not very close, and you realize that App is like orbiting around the upper stories of the building and sort of like poking at them and like tugging on window frames.
All right.
How do you respond to this?
I think I have a remote call to App probably, right? Is that
Yeah. You can always patch in.
hey App, what you doing up there?
Oh, sir, I took it upon myself to try to break into the building.
Well,
The target went inside, and I just decided that I needed to go inside to follow him.
That's
And
very, very enterprising of you, App. But maybe. Well, actually, did you find any way in? Actually,
no, sir, it seems that they have tightened up their security since last night. Unsurprisingly,
all right. Well, you don't need to do that. You can go ahead and back off. Just hang out.
the third floor is still weird, sir.
Did you go in the third floor?
No, I merely attempted to rip the windows open, but I was able to determine using my optical scopes that the room beyond is a void as it was yesterday.
Huh. All right. Well, good to know that it's still weird. Just don't break anything or be seen. And
Are you sure? I think that I could break my way inside.
probably not without support of the team. I think I'm gonna go with that.
Sir, I am very competent. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure that I cannot? As I said, sir, I have been aching to exercise my independence for some time.
Hold on 1 second, Rusty. My droid here is thinks he might be able to break in.
Well, we don't want that to happen.
That's
I
what
think
I
probably
thought.
you should call him on back now.
App. All right, let's call that off. Just go ahead and back up a little bit. Yeah, like that. Just scoot
Very
back.
well, sir.
Thank
If you insist.
thank you, App.
And you kind of sense him like approaching the car, and despite the fact that he's a featureless gray cylinder, he's like sulking, obviously.
Well, thank you very much, App, for your service to our country.
You're welcome.
We go into is there like a 24-hour steak and shake or anything on the street?
Yeah, there's a 24-hour steak and shake caddy corner.
Oh, that's convenient. Steak and shake. I love steak and shake. Well, Metric, shall we get ourselves a some cheese fries, and perhaps a sweet milkshake of some sort.
So how long are we gonna expect this to go on?
Oh, 8 or 10 hours or so.
So you know how when your dog dies, it feels like a singular light of happiness and joy is blinked out of the world, and you just gotta keep moving, you gotta keep living, because your dog, that fluffy little ball of sinless purity, wouldn't want you to lose faith in the fundamental potential of man to do good. So you're all inspired to like go out and do something for Spike because that's what Spike would want you to do. But then you realize there's like 32 million dogs in the world, and that's probably like an equilibrium population of dogs. So like it probably turns over every 12 years or so. But then if you divide that out, that means there's somebody's little bundle of perfect happiness barks off its mortal coils about once every 10 seconds. But you can't actually comprehend this level of devastation because you have that broken monkey brain that's fundamentally incapable of appreciating the scope of canine suffering in the world.
Well, I reckon I know exactly what you're talking about, Metric, except for that whole last part. Kind of zoned out a little bit, if I'm honest, but perhaps you'd like to get to your point.
Well, so here, behold, I take out like a little tiny bottle of fluid. 18,000 second energy. It turbo powers your motivational drives by unlocking the full scope of dog mortality to your mind. Also, it has a gram of caffeine.
Well, that sounds very useful there, Metric.
I give him one.
I think I'll hold on to this and just order myself a coffee for now.
I drink one.
So it's about this time that you notice that Billy and Eric and Justin are just sitting in the booth next to you in a booth one over. It's like, oh, hey guys.
Billy, Justin, Eric, fancy meeting you here.
Hey, Billy.
We were hungry.
Oh, well.
What's
what
the
are you eating?
spaz over there?
Well, Metric here's, I think
I want
just,
waffles. Oh, God,
well,
Spike.
I'm not sure really what Metric's deal is. But perhaps you'd like to join us at our corner booth over here.
Oh, now you want me? Just kidding, I'm coming.
All right, well, here's the plan. Sort of. Somewhere around about 3 or 4 a.m., someone, most like, is going to be leaving the Jackdaw Sphinx nightclub's parking lot over there. Now, there's a few different possibilities of who might be in that car. And that car is going to have to drive right by this diner on its way to the destination that I predict it's going to drive to. Your job, Metric, is to peer into the car with a beautiful magical vision of yours.
Definitely do that.
And send me a bleep containing the identity or description, so far as you can muster, of the occupants of that vehicle.
I start like looking around immediately.
As well as, of course, if any other notable figures were to enter or exit the Jackdaw Sphinx, we would very much appreciate being informed of any such developments.
Roger.
Well, I down my coffee because I've still got some things to do tonight. I'll leave you gentlemen to it. Billy, don't stay out too late. And I'll see you all in the early morn.
So you don't need us to do anything?
Well, Billy, your job is going to come tomorrow morning, and I must say it's probably the most important job out of all of them. But it's also important that we don't discuss it until tomorrow.
Oh, okay. He's like looking a little proud right now.
You're getting a bit greedy, though, aren't you, Tex? Expecting to get away with arson and murder on the same day?
Well, I suppose if you're gonna be in Vegas, you've got to risk big to win big.
Yes, I just, It does surprise me, indiscriminately wiping out a number of people, including young Grail. I didn't know you had it in you, Tex.
Well, I ain't gonna be taking any sort of pleasure from the operation, but as you know, we can't simply let this sort of behavior slide, or there'll be all sorts of uprisings occurring in the city between all the gangs. And, well, if we were to let young Grail survive, for instance, after killing her beloved, I don't think she'd be one to let it go.
Yes, well, I agree. I'm not saying that we shouldn't. It's more a matter of getting away with it, and frankly, hearing it come out of your mouth is a bit surprising. But let's, yes, I think this can work. And this is Las Vegas. The odds of success are lower than anywhere else in the world. You know how it is. We have to have someone on hand just to scrape off the probes and residues of powers, so there aren't eyes watching our every movement, every second. Tex, you'll need to take me back to the base. I will need to think on this quite hard and perhaps patch up any holes in the plan, but I think we should execute this as quickly as possible, frankly.
Yes, sir, Mr. Snake Eyes. You're the brains of the operation, and of course, you need to be the one to. I'm sure whatever you do will be the best solution. I'm just a silly old cape who doesn't know what he's talking about.
He like smiles, fully kind of understanding the subtext of what's happening between you, and he says, "Yes, your insight into Pit Boss's mind has been very valuable. Now let's get out of here so that I can make this plan my own, if you take my meaning."
Yeah, well, I believe I do, sir. And drive back to the city. Good night, gentlemen. I raise my coffee. Gentlemen, a toast to fire and fury.
Fire and fury.
Fire and fury.
Fire and fury. Fire and fury.